Preseason action is underway in the National Football League, and the team and the players that I can't wait to see, Bloom, we're going to talk about some of them today on the show. And Odell Beckham Jr., a little bit banged up, but how excited are you about this Todd Monken offense and ODB and Zay Flowers
Right.
performing well?
I think that's what everyone needs to know here with Rashod Bateman working on the side. So we may see him before camp, preseason is over. I doubt it. It's Flowers and Beckham. And see, there's a reason that when we see, Odell Beckham made a diving catch and stretched and left the field, we're like, because he hasn't played in a year and a half, and his last few seasons have not ended well. So we're already waiting. We're anticipating that injury. So all roads lead back to Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. So I think Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews could get a big boost along with Lamar Jackson, along with this offense because of pace, because of creativity, because of being more pass happy, embracing Lamar Jackson as a pocket passer, a happy Lamar Jackson who's getting the commitment that he was looking for from his team, not just in terms of money and guaranteed money in a contract, but personnel moves, including bringing in Odell Beckham, who he has worked with, away from the team. So I think all of these things point to a resurgence in this Ravens offense. We've got to watch Ronnie Stanley and Morgan Moses in their health so that this tackle position holds up and gives Lamar Jackson that time to be a pocket passer. But as I think Evan Silva and I had this conversation, Cease, you better be investing in this Ravens offense.
Yes.
Which players to target, we could have a debate about that, but which Raven or how many Ravens you take could be a key to your draft.
And how many Ravens running backs you don't take. But either
Yeah.
way, that passing game will be on point because how many times have we seen it, Bloom? A rushing quarterback affects the way defense. It's the declaration of influence. When
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is out there, it's true 11 on 11 football. The deep game will be there. The short game will be there. The seams will be there with Mandrews. So am I excited about Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers? Mainly Zay Flowers. I love Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
I think a lot of fantasy owners, they're kind of stuck in the old thinking of like, this is Greg Roman. Why am I getting receivers?
Mm-mm.
Like, no, get these receivers and enjoy the fruits of your labor, their labor, and you're just drafting them.
Yeah. And with Flowers, we've been hearing multiple reports that his work ethic is right there, that his understanding of the offense is right there. He's uncovering easily on those short and intermediate routes, the layups, like you said, Cease, that we're looking for, which in a fast paced offense is really important. That first read being open. And let's give a tip of the cap to Eric Galco in the Shrine Bowl, getting a first round pick, maybe one of the most important first round picks in fantasy leagues this year, out to that game.
Yeah, and one of the most important players to add to that game as that game continues to get stronger under Galco's guidance. It is the Audible, Cecil Lammey and Sigmund Bloom. It's footballguys.com. We want you to go there, check us out, subscribe to footballguys.com if you want to support the show. We thank you very much for that. Sign up for that free daily newsletter. That's our introduction to you besides this show. So check us out. I know we got a lot of new viewers and new listeners there as well. We love talking about ball. We appreciate you jumping on with us in the journey. It's footballguys.com. Speaking of the journey to Atlanta, I've got some well-placed people around the building. Let's say that, Bloom. I'm getting more excited about Desmond Ridder throwing to these guys. Now, not about Ridder under pressure. I've said it on this show a million times. He crumbles under pressure. But when I think of who they have around him, and a Kyle Pitts and a Bijan Robinson, but Drake London is a player that my people around the building are telling me like this is the guy that's riffing this year, along with Bijan, along
Yeah.
with Kyle Pitts. But and with Ridder, it's almost like a hey, don't screw it up because you have all this talent around you. So speaking of offenses, maybe people are sleeping on. We're not sleeping on the talent of a Drake London or any of these guys, Bloom. But man alive, it sounds like it could be coming together quite nicely for that team.
And that's what we should expect. Maybe we need to put respect on Arthur Smith's name. Cease, I think when we look back at 2022 and we saw that this team was competitive in most games and the offense did move the ball to some extent, we may look back at that, especially in the context of Marcus Mariota's poor quarterback play, as a testament to Arthur Smith and his ability to make chicken sandwiches out of something, chicken salad, right? Love
Sorry,
that
Joe.
saying.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. So now he has, remember this, 23 passes a game with Mariota, 28 with Desmond Ridder. Again, I'll say it. He trusted the third round rookie more than he trusted Mariota. Now we have a full offseason with the confidence and installation of this offense. It's going to be a run first offense with one of the best young running backs in the league. You have a top 10 pick at tight end in Kyle Pitts. You have a top 10 pick in Drake London. So if we just have efficient passing, like you said, Cease, Ritter under pressure might not be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but if you're passing in 3rd and 3 situations, if you're passing in play action, if you're passing with moving pockets, let's remember the hallmarks of how Ryan Tannehill's career came back to life with Arthur Smith calling the shots in that Titans offense. Now Desmond Ritter's weakness is not exposed. It should be a highly efficient pass offense, a pass offense with more volume. And again, I'll say this, don't assume Arthur Smith is the run heaviest offensive coordinator in the league. If Marcus Mariota was your quarterback, you probably would be too. So it makes a lot of sense. It also
Mhm.
makes sense that this offense should take a step forward. Drake London, available in the 5th round, stands out to me. He's already on a lot of my teams because he performed like a number one in a lot of advanced metrics, even though he was the only viable target after Kyle Pitts went out last year. So now that you have an offense that is going to keep defenses more off balance, what can he do in year 2 with the growth that comes in year 2? You should want to see with him on your fantasy roster.
You worried about Stefon Diggs? I know I have to be very careful with the way I say this, but I know Josh Allen might need to focus a little bit more on football other than other activities, nothing nefarious. Nothing to, did I tell you
Hey,
already or have I
shoot
not
your
told
shot.
you? Okay. I don't know if I've told you. Again, I know I've had people in the comments
All the
like,
best stuff happens off the
I
air.
know, and I know someone in the comments, YouTube comments are usually not kind, but I do read them and I thank everyone for commenting. Someone was like, "You always say that you tell them off air." I'm like, "Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I
Yeah,
can't say on air. I'm
the best
sorry."
things.
Okay? I'm sorry,
Unless you don't
but
want anyone to tell you anything ever again.
yeah, exactly. I just it's Diggs with the like he's mad about his role and all that and storming off and off season there, I would say this is the part I have to be careful with. Like, Josh, you got to focus on
Yeah,
football. Again, nothing nefarious, nothing criminal, but like, Josh, stop, run around. Like, dude, you got to make it. You
yeah,
got all this talent, you got all this skill. We've talked about Khalil Shakir, all these sorts of things, but the Diggs thing, it's kind of quiet now because he's in
right.
camp, he's there and I want to see Buffalo win it all. I love Bills fans. My best friend's a Bills fan, but damn it, they won't win it all if Allen's distracted and Diggs is mad.
Yeah, and I think this is something we may watch during the season. If Allen has a cold streak, if Diggs is showing his frustration during games, then perhaps we need to be ready to pull the ripcord while others are going to wait and see if it passes by. That being said, at this point, Allen to Diggs is a Rodgers to Adams kind of connection where who cares about the offensive play call? Who cares about what's happening outside of the sidelines? Once they're on the field, that connection it can take over a game. So Diggs is situated where you have a clear top 4 at wide receiver. My wide receiver tiers came out. Check them out at footballguys.com. You've got a clear top 4 in Jefferson, Chase, Cup, and Hill. And then Diggs fits at number 5, where he's not quite in that top 4, but I think you would argue he's a safer pick in PPR leagues than AJ Brown, than CD Lamb. These are some of the Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. These are some of the next guys off the board. Diggs still fits right in there. I think if you're drawing 7, 8, 9, you're asking yourself whether you trust Stefon Diggs. And if you don't, you know who the alternatives are. Also, wide running back, you might take a Barkley, a Nick Chubb. I think he's worth a first round pick. A Tony Pollard, a Bijan Robinson, who we were just talking about. These are your choices if you draw 7, 8, 9 in your draft.
Yeah. We'll continue to watch that situation. The situation in Cincinnati, and I guess I want everyone to win a Super. You get a Super Bowl. You get a Super
Yeah.
Bowl. I want to live in a world where Joe Burrow's smoking a cigar with the
Hmm.
Lombardi Trophy.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So how concerned are you that might be a slow start to the early season? Again, windows. I don't care, baby. If the window for the Bengals is at the end of the year because Burrow's feeling his oats, yeah, awesome. Fantasy championship. Thank you. But how is that affecting your drafting of Cincinnati wide receivers based on we're kind of waiting on this Joe Burrow injury?
Yeah, I don't think it's material enough to push Tyreek Hill or Cooper Kupp, who's dealing with his own injury, ahead of Jamar Chase at number 2. But I understand if it gives you some pause. The reason that Chase is still the pick at number 2 is because despite the injury last year, on a per game basis, he took a big step forward in year 2, much like Justin Jefferson. And he proved that unlike year 1, where it seemed like he was dependent on those big plays to deliver on the investment in fantasy leagues, he just became, like Jefferson, that clear number 1 target for his college teammate. That being said, we have to be on alert. I don't think we're going to see Burrow in the preseason. We have to be on alert on his practice status going into week 1. And then we're going to watch for a sign of re-injury, a sign that maybe he isn't as mobile negotiating the pocket or scrambling, and maybe he isn't able to get on those throws what he's able to before. So I think it is something that we have to be aware of, and we have to act accordingly if we see that he doesn't look like himself early in the season. And I think it's more, Cease, I think it's more reason to back off of Burrow, where you're looking at quarterback 5 after Lamar Jackson. I think that is Justin Fields right now. That's being said, if Burrow falls too far, maybe you take advantage of that. And T. Higgins is overrated as his 3rd round pick. So as far as the other receivers, Tyler Boyd, he's just a safe 11th or 12th round pick, not really very exciting. In a deep league, a player like that can help you. Maybe Irv Smith. Again, you're taking a speculative pick in the late rounds on Irv Smith, not so much on Joe Burrow's health in week 1. Higgins is overrated as a 3rd round pick at this point. Let's talk about Andre Iosivas. That's the receiver that has been turning some heads, and maybe a few years down the line, the Higgins replacement.
I love the preseason because we get these notes. I love the training camp notes. And one thing, the Burrow thing is a legitimate concern. We'll watch it. We'll see. When I hear Lamar Jackson threw 4 picks in practice, I don't care.
No.
If Lamar Jackson throws 4 picks in a game, that's much, much different. If he's throwing it in practice, you know who threw a lot of picks in practice? Peyton
Right.
Manning.
Yeah.
So it's like break some eggs to make an omelet. Everyone go make those omelets. You know what I'm hearing in Indianapolis? It makes me so happy. Happy for Matt Waldman, because I'm always happy when I think of Matt Waldman. Happy for Colts fans. Maybe not happy for Jim Irsay, because I'm not a big Jim Irsay fan. Billionaires aren't good people, everybody. But anyway, Anthony Richardson is tearing up the world. I love this dude. I'm getting chills right now just saying it. But if Richardson's playing and flashing that potential, and defenses will get him, and there'll be film on him, and he'll have some windows where he doesn't flash, and he'll have some. So it's about that late season surge after the film's on him. He could be spectacular the first month of the season, struggle the next month of the season, and then come back. It's always about what's in your second act, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in your third act. But either way, Anthony Richardson is doing it. So how do you feel about the receivers, especially a guy like Michael Pittman? And he's been dealing with some banged up players this offseason. We talked about it on this show. Like, it's so sad. Like, get these guys healthy so Richardson can work with them. Richardson is doing great things on the field in Indianapolis. This gets me excited about those receivers, Bloom.
Yeah, the key for fantasy we need to know here is he's getting all the first team snaps. So I don't think we're looking at him being eased in or some sense of protecting him from himself and making sure he wins the job over Gardner Minshew. Cease, you know who I wish I could trade bodies with just to get the feeling of the sensation of looking forward to the season are the Colts defenders, because they're getting to practice against Anthony Richardson and understand just what defenses are going to have to deal with. And you see some comments from them that say,
nightmares.
Yeah, this guy is going to be really tough to deal with. Yes, there are going to be mistakes. Yes, there are going to be bad decisions. That's how Anthony Richardson learns. And with the receivers, Dwayne McFarland does tremendous work. Has pointed out the average finish of a wide receiver 1 for a rookie quarterback is, I think, in the 30s. When you add in a running rookie quarterback, you're going to reduce the number of passing opportunities. Now it falls down to the 40s. So I think that Michael Pittman is probably someone you're backing off of. I think Josh Downs, maybe in a best ball league, as the deep threat, as a speed slot. Alec Pierce as a downfield threat, a go get it kind of frisbee catching dog, throw it up there and see what he can do on the sidelines. These guys can help you in best ball leagues. Jelani Woods is probably the favorite to lead the league, maybe not the league, the team in receiving touchdowns. That's someone you might look at in the late rounds, but none of this should discourage you from taking Anthony Richardson. I think he's the clear quarterback 10 So that means after you see Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, and Deshaun Watson go off the board, that should be your cue to take Richardson. I think if you're in a one quarterback league, he's a fine plan A. He doesn't have to be a productive passer. Look at Justin Fields last year. Okay. And unlike Justin Fields, he's going to play half of his games, more than half indoors. He's not going to have to deal with that weather, which actually, with the footing on those fields in December, maybe that's even better for Anthony Richardson and his running ability. There's a lot of different ways for Anthony Richardson to be a hit for fantasy while he's still struggling as a passer. And if he's not struggling as a passer, then we might be talking about a Cam Newton rookie season kind of season for fantasy,
Yes.
where we might look back and say, who won your league? Who took Anthony Richardson? So he's quarterback 10 on my board. I'm saying that's when you take him, but even taking him ahead of a Deshaun Watson, who will have to play outside in December a lot more, you may be even ahead of a Trevor Lawrence, who doesn't have the ability to add as a runner the way Richardson does. I think this is a good debate. And I think in super flex leagues, if you can get him as your second quarterback, you get a elite quarterback to start, and Richardson is your quarterback too. That may end up being a checkmate.
Yes, and the way it's been described to me by people around that building is, it's young Josh Allen, less distracted Josh Allen, and Cam Newton,
Yeah.
like early Cam Newton, and,
Yes. How do you defend him?
you love it, man. You
Yeah.
love to see it because so many naysayers are quick to point out what he can't do. Well, what can he do? What can he do is pretty damn significant.
Yeah.
And again, it'll change the way defenses look at him. It is the Audible. We're footballguys.com. So check us out. Go there. You want to support the show, subscribe to footballguys.com. Also, coming up, since it's August and our preseason watch list is done, thank you all for that. That's audio only shows. We have more audio only shows for you throughout training camp and the preseason. Sigmund and I will be checking in with you. It might be solo, might be together, but we're going to keep you up to date on everything that's going on. We do it out of love for you. So check us out on Apple Podcasts. Check us out on Spotify. Again, our audio only shows. You see us on YouTube once a week. That's awesome. The regular season, you'll see us a little bit more. But we have a bunch of content that is audio only for our audio only podcast that, again, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, however you take in your podcast, just check out the Audible from footballguys.com. To wrap up the show, we talk about my friend Eric Bieniemy, and people are just ignoring the Commanders receivers. You should not, and I think Dotson is the guy,
Yeah.
but you heard McLaurin today or the other day, whatever,
Mhm.
as of this recording, whatever day it was, Bloom. It's training camp, as you can tell.
It's
I'm
always the
like,
same day. It's
yeah,
training
it's
camp day.
it's like Groundhog's Day. I feel like Bill Murray, right? But either way, like you've heard McLaurin speak about this. Like, keep your radar up into what's going on with Washington and
Mhm.
that offense, which could be more robust than people think.
It's just the whole offense. And sees the reports that we're hearing, and again, this goes back to what you know about your friend, just a energy boost, just a different energy around the practices, around the offense. And I'm not saying that it was miserable to be part of Washington's offense before, but it was not an exciting offense. It wasn't an innovative process offense. And while they aren't going to be among the best quarterback situations, probably among the five worst, honestly, with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett in terms of fantasy productivity from the passing game. You are going to have an offense that is going to be invigorated, an offense that's going to have new plays, an offense that's going to be maybe using players in a different way than they've been used before. I'm looking at you, Antonio Gibson, maybe Curtis Samuel. You have more creativity. And this is Eric Bieniemy's chance to step out of the shadow of Andy Reid and really show that he deserves to be thought of as an innovative offensive mind and, yes, a future NFL head coach. So, like you said, Terry McLaurin, fifth round pick, Jahan Dotson, who was the red zone force last year, and we know he can do a lot more than that. Get him maybe in the eighth round. Curtis Samuel is available late in your draft. Antonio Gibson, a ninth round pick. Brian Robinson, who's not going to be playing a month after being shot in the leg this year, hopefully. May he stay
Right.
safe. May all the players stay safe.
That's right.
These are all players that could have not just a boost because of some of the things, external factors, usage for Gibson in the passing game, health for Robinson, but playing in an offense that players are excited to play in.
All right. It is the Audible. It is footballguys.com. He is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I am at Cecil Lammey. You want to help us grow the YouTube channel? Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. And we thank you very much for doing that. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible. Everyone out there, be safe, be kind, know that you're appreciated. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?